Hello and welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers Live. We have always been updating you about some of the recent innovations in the financial services and been taking you through what innovations, what interesting trends are happening within the financial services sector. With me today is a very insightful, inspiring guest who heads corporate venture capital at National Bank of Canada. His name is Deo Philippe, and he is going to share with us some very insightful innovations and perspectives from the banks as well as the investors' perspective about how innovations are being looked over by the financial services sector. Philip, welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers.
Thank you, Babu. Well,
Wonderful. So, Philip, you have been into the corporate venture side for quite some time. Firstly, if you can give a little bit of narrative amongst how corporate venture is a little different from the normal venture capital side, and how you have seen this trend shifting globally in the corporate venture space.
so the main difference between corporate ventures and pure venture is that corporate venture gets all their money from one corporate sponsor. You have hybrid funds that are going to get money from several corporate sponsors, but most of them only have one, while pure VCs are going to get their money from several external investors. Pure VC will mainly look after financial return for their investors, while corporate ventures might have a mix of uh, asking for pure return and strategic return. So companies that will help them achieve the agenda they've set forth for their business.
Excellent. So now, as a corporate venture investor, what kind of trends do you see where the investments are taking place in this recent time, especially with the kind of meltdown that has been seen in a lot of economies, including in Canada? What are the new areas which you see?
The fintech ventures has been going in Canada in phases. The first phase was all about what the client could see. So you have the Coho, the Nesto, the Borrowell in that phase that we've had, which was an easy phase because people know intrinsically if you're a client from a bank, you say this is the experience I want to change. The second phase was all about embedded finance. How do I embed finance through a journey? So you got embedded wealth, embedded insurance, a company like ClearEstate, Synctera, Walnut coming into the mix, that are really going to allow other people to offer financial services. The third phase in which we're entering through AI and so on are more services that will be used by financial institutions. And that's what's going to require is people that intrinsically know financial institution, how financial institution work, how the financial system work, because it's going to go deeper into what it's changing compared to what we have in phase one, which was more an experience, and phase two, which was more product. Phase three is really going to go deeper into risk, operation, and so on through AI. And that's why you'll be needing people that understand financial institution very well. And that's when corporate venture is at max because we have access to a ton of expert internally that can help us make the right investment.
Interesting. Canada is as such a country of SMEs. I think almost 70 to 80% of the business coming from SME sector to each of these segments, including the banking and finance. What kind of innovations are today happening in the SME sector where you see a lot of potential and possibilities?
So you have company like Float that change a bit like payment was being made by companies. So you are starting to have some innovation into the SME space, but it's still very fragmented, Babu, because in the SME space, like an entrepreneur to be changing banks, he's got a ton of stuff to do. It needs to be able to make it to the top of the stack to actually get the point where he's going to say, actually, I want to go towards fintech and towards that kind of innovation. So we haven't seen much in Canada. Even in the US, it's not widespread. There is company attacking those area, like I was saying, Float is one. There's a few others. And you will see, I think, in the next few years, the SME sector start to blossom in terms of fintech.
Super. I think that integration between SME and fintech has a lot more promise, according to you, right?
It does. It just needs to move forward faster than it has, and that's a big question of adoption. If adoption is not there by the SME, it's going to take longer.
Especially as a SME floated by immigrants who are coming to the country and who are being encouraged by the government as well to start new businesses and increase employment in the countries. The kind of options for lending, the kind of options on payments are very limited in Canada. I can also tell it as my own experience as an entrepreneur. Okay.
And listen, that's not only on the SME side, though, Babu. That's also on the retail side. I think that new arrivant coming into the country, we need as a industry to step up and serve them better.
Absolutely. While some banks have started some activity, but integration with ecosystems of the country from where the immigrants come and see how a proper risk management and a proper compliance and a proper framework for getting better credit is allowed to these segments to help them to prosper. So that is something which may make a lot of sense. With AI coming into the picture, how do you see the possibility of AI entering into the sector?
It really depends on how AI develop, right? Because AI right now, where we're at is we're in the proof point for co-piloting. So that's an AI that help you do the same job you're already doing, either at a faster pace or better. Now we need to see, meanwhile, as co-piloting is hitting the proof of concept of is it useful or not and what's the value. What's being tested in the back is agentic AI, where basically you have AI doing a complete part of the job, and you can change what your employee is doing to move them to completely do a uh, a work that is value added rather than still having to do the manual work. It also going to change the way customer interact with banks. So if you have agentic AI develop and if it works, I could tell an AI, A, change my deposit to always be in the bank that gives me the best interest rate on my deposit. And then the agentic AI actually has the power to move my money around up to a point where I probably won't even know where my money is without asking my AI friend to tell me. So we're far from that at this point. Far doesn't mean far in time because technology is developing at a very quick pace these days, but we're still in can we have agentic AI? Can agentic AI work in the way we want? Meanwhile, I think that right now, what most financial institutions are doing in terms of AI is really co-piloting, helping you do your job better, which allows bank to grow um, with about the same level of staff needed.
Interesting. Now, when you speak about advocating, most of the bankers or anyone in the industry have been advocating the use of AI. But one of the biggest issues when it comes to AI is it is a machine driven decision and it is based on ultimately what data is provided to the machine. And it is not always 100% correct or a
Mhm.
appropriate answer. And it may probably also lead to wrong decisions. Then it comes the accountability of the decisions taken on the basis of AI, because ultimately you cannot put a machine accountable for this decision. So, under such circumstances, how do you think organizations are now working, especially in your venture capital space, corporate VC space? How do organizations fix these responsibilities according to you? Any thoughts on this?
On the corporate venture space, no, I don't think the corporate venture is there yet. We're when we think about a solution, I first think about is there a market for it? Then I'm thinking about, okay, how can I use it? How can I test it? And it's when I'm at the test point that I'm going to go into, well, actually, what's the code behind? Is it a black box where I can't see anything? And if that's a black box, it's going to be disqualified right away because of what you just said. If I cannot verify how the decision of the AI is made, I could end up, for example, that with all the data I'm supplying to the AI make a calculation saying, oh, this postal code, the people in that area, we shouldn't lend to them. And then what you discover is that it's a economical area that is less favored than other, and you just made them even less favored without understanding the actual reason why you would be making that decision. So that's very important to understand how the AI is done. I also think that again, AI is really at its beginning. Most of what I see in financial institutions, so we do have some AI that is applied to um, credit risk and so on, that we've developed internally so that we understand the formula behind, we understand how it's done, we understand where the uh, decision is going to be taken, and that's one of the decisions we've made. In terms of external partner, we do use external partner, but more into co-piloting, so we still keep the knowledge of the decision.
Superb. And Philip, towards when we come towards the conclusion of this conversation, we have been speaking a lot about various technologies. You are an innovator yourself, you had innovations at the bank. Which are those interesting technologies where you see a lot more promise, where organizations are going to invest in the near future? And how do we go about in these areas, or what is your thought around these areas? Which are those nice to have or must have innovations that are trending in the coming few years?
So obviously, most people will answer you around AI. So I would concur with them. I think blockchain and Web3, etc., still has proof to be out there. But I think we're starting to get real business case coming out of that technology as well. International payment is one where you could move money way faster than current rail. Um, how is it going to be deployed is again is the devil in the detail. In Canada, open banking still, we're still all promising open banking. We now have a framework, but it's not deployed yet. I feel it's compared to other jurisdiction is very limited in terms of scope, and that's really hurting fintechs in Canada. So Canada is lagging in terms of innovation compared to other jurisdiction because we do not have the base, which is open banking. So my hope for the next year or two would really be that we speed up open banking so we can start getting into that innovation. The last point I would make is that most financial institutions, not only in Canada but worldwide, have been working on data lakes forever. That has not proven a sound strategy in my book. We haven't. I don't think banks have succeeded in creating those data lakes. They need to find a way to use the data in the format it is and make the data speak in different format to the same element that is going to generate the real value in AI.
Superb. Ultimately, it is the next evolution in enterprise data that is going to make the difference with the AI coming to rescue in quite a lot of places.
So AI is 50% data, 40% like mind openness and what you can do about AI, and 10% technology.
Absolutely. And there is one more important aspect in this, that is the human decision, because we cannot ignore the human element irrespective of whatever technology you're talking about.
Yeah, I agreed with you, Babu. It's extremely important. That's what I've put in that 40% of mind change, where we need to be open to change. We need to see how it can be used, try it. And that 90% is the hard part. It's not the technology. The technology is there today.
Thank you very much for a wonderful conversation.
Thank you, Babu. Thank you, Naras. Thank you, Parth.